Hi Norco, my name is Mariko and I'm coming to you from our humble ranch, and today we're doing a special from a citizen's perspective on the Bury the Wires project. So I have two very trusted neighbors that you've probably seen posting all over our Norco forums in regards to what this project is. And I thought we'd take a moment to go ahead and introduce who you guys are, how you're involved with our community, and what drew you here.
Don, go first?
No, you can go ahead.
Well, I'm Don Pattinger, and I love Norco. So much so, my family lives here. My daughter lives a door down from us. And our granddaughter, Norco Nora, she was born in her living room in
Nice.
Norco. So we're trying to keep the age low in the city. So.
Oh, good.
But we love everything about it. We love the equestrian lifestyle. We love the ability to have agriculture in our backyard, and that neighbors just love each other. It's a great, great community. And if you're looking for a place to live, you need to come check out Norco.
Well, my name is Rudy, and I'm married to my wife, Lori. We are transplants from Los Angeles County. We've been in Norco since probably about 2017. We moved here strictly for the equestrian lifestyle. My wife is the rider. I'm a late in life rider. I didn't start riding until I was in my 50s. Now I'm only 60. But we moved here specifically for the horse equestrian lifestyle. We did for a while live in the city of San Dimas, which at one time was a horse community. And so we saw the transition of that town in the time we lived there. And, we were drawn here because of the horse environment. And one of our goals now is to keep Norco. You hear it all the time, keep Norco. And that means different things to different people. But to me, it's to keep that equestrian lifestyle. And so that's why we're here. I've shared this in the past. I'm not here for the potholed roads. I'm not here for the dust. I'm not here for the dirt. I'm not here for the high wind.
Flies.
The flies.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I'm here we're here because of the equestrian lifestyle, and that's what brought us here. So now we're the proud owner of Gypsy Deer Ranch with 4 horses, 22 chickens, 2 cats, and a dog. We have a few, yeah, and we've got a couple.
I'm a horse owner also.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
got 3 horses. Had a donkey. We just rehomed him, and my wife is a chicken lady, and she has 12 chickens. So.
There you go,
And
see?
a got and a dog.
You got a few to catch up with us.
We
You got
do.
about 10 more to
All
go.
right. More stalls to mop.
Yeah, exactly.
Interestingly enough, when I first moved here to Norco, we were in our backyard and we have this backyard trail system.
Right.
And so my first interaction with Don was actually him riding down our back trails.
Yeah, there you go.
And so I met this man and he was so tall on his horse.
Hobby horse.
Yeah.
I think for me, moving to Norco was exactly for the same reason that you guys were drawn here. It's a horse town, it's an equestrian community, it's agriculture. One of the things that I think is so special and unique about our town is that there's one thing a lot of people move here for, which is for equestrian or agriculture. And so what's unique about that is everyone has passion around the reasons why they moved
Right,
here. And so it kind of centers us into this next segment about why we want to keep Norco. I
Right.
mean, a lot of the community is very passionate about the reasons why they moved here. The trails, not only just within our street trails, I mean, we do have over 150 miles of horse trail in our community, but that's excluding the riverbed.
Right.
We have these trail systems that are in the river,
Right.
and they're very beautiful. I mean, you overlook and you just see
Yeah.
just river, you see trees, you see greenery, and that I think really is something that's so special and unique to why people come and travel to Norco. They're coming into our town to go into our riverbed
Yep.
and work those trail systems.
Absolutely.
So obviously that's really important to us here. And so as we're talking about things today about the Bury the Wires project, what Bury the Wires really is,
Right.
what the above power lines mean, I think they hear, hey, we're going to put in these power lines and it's going to go above ground, below ground, and they're probably thinking maybe just aesthetics. They don't really know exactly what that
Right.
means for our community. And for those who are, we have a lot of people who have moved into Norco that might not necessarily be equestrians
Right.
utilizing that area. So we brought in the experts who are posting all over the forums about this.
So I'll lay the foundation, and then maybe you can give some of the background. So the project is technically known as the Riverside Transmission Reliability Project, or the RTRP. So you'll hear that a lot, RTRP. And the purpose of the plan, of the program, the project, is to provide a secondary power source to the city of Riverside. So right now, the city of Riverside gets its main power through one basically avenue. So the original idea of the RTRP was to bring a secondary power source into the city of Riverside so that the Riverside Public Utilities Commission would have a secondary or backup power source should their primary source go down.
Question for
Yes.
you. So for those residents who are in town, we often in the summertime face power outages.
Yeah.
So is part of the reasoning why they want to put in some of these extra power sources to address some of the power issues that we're having?
I think emergency,
It help
yeah.
some, but I don't think it's going to be the end all be all
Yeah.
because we're already seeing, if you look in Chino Hills, and Chino Hills was able to stop this. They went through and they were going to put the power lines above ground there. They fought it, but if you look down Chino on Edison Avenue, you'll see these monsters.
Yeah.
And Chino still has blackouts, even with all the high power transmission lines going down and right through a park.
Yeah.
But
I think Riverside, it was a redundancy,
Yeah.
like a backup, because they had the one power incoming source, I guess.
Right.
And should they lose that for whatever reason, a failure, fire, whatever it was, this was a secondary.
avenue.
Yeah, another avenue for them to get a bulk of their electricity.
Okay.
So that was the impetus of this plan, and this has been around since 2008, I think,
Yeah.
was when the project was originally envisioned. And so it's still, with the original start date of, I think 2020 was when it was supposed to go live. But through a series of whatever, it's been drug out and drug out and drug out. So that's basically the project that we're currently kind of fighting against.
And it's very difficult to fight a public utilities commission. Most of the members there are appointed by the governor, and it's pretty much what the governor wants that the commission is going to vote for. So it makes it tough for residents and a small city like Norco to be able to come up. You're really coming up against the state. If anything, recent history has just shown us how devastating above ground power lines can be. We can look at Pacific Palisades within the last year. An entire community was destroyed and lives lost. Then we looked the year before to Maui, Lahaina, where the powers were there, and the smokehouse fire in Texas. These are all fires that don't know borders. And I know borders are a sensitive issue right now, but Riverside may think, okay, hey, it doesn't really affect us. We won't see the lines, but a fire knows no respect. It could start here in Norco and the wind change, and it could burn down all of Eastvale or all of Jurupa Valley, or even worse, just come right through us and move on to another city. So that's why this is so important to get these below ground so we can curtail that and improve the risk.
And the project essentially entails using high tension electrical lines and above ground transmission towers. And we're not talking about, the towers you see in your backyard or, maybe running down trails here in our city.
Right.
We're talking about 120 foot tall monolithic
Down
steel
Edison.
structure.
Yeah.
Edison, huge Edison
In
line.
Chino, yeah.
So aesthetically, there's that portion of it. And originally when Norco fought against this, my understanding was it was based a lot on the aesthetics and the property value issue. It's since morphed into this fire issue, but the problem with above grounding is exactly what Don touched on. It's proven time after time after time after time. Again, the town of Paradise up in Northern California that was wiped out, that was traced back to faulty electrical lines, a down wire from whatever, and that's what started those fires. So time has proven that these types of towers are what causes these fires. And so our position here in Norco is that you're going to put these things right in the middle of an area that is prone to fire already, wind driven, dry vegetation and brush, and what was it? The man fire was what, 2020, something like that. Caused 175 acres of damage over there. So it's in every season there's fire after fire after fire in the riverbed. And
Well, I think just this past year alone in Jurupa, we had how many hit over there? Like 3 or 4 fires.
Yeah, there's constantly, whenever the wind comes, you're going to see on watch alert, there's another fire.
Yeah.
the city of Norco has fought this kind of spottingly on and off for years. But I think what kind of reignited their passion is this recent DOJ lawsuit against Edison for their role in wildfires in the state.
Right.
And it's kind of again reignited this debate about above ground wiring. And so, none of us are, I don't think any of us are opposed to Riverside having a backup power supply. It's just the above ground wiring that is the concern.
So that does lead me to my question though about safety, which, we talked a little bit about the inherent fire risk, but I think visualizing for people in terms of while they're putting in these above ground power lines, what that means in terms of use going down there. And then what happens when the above ground power lines are there and are you riding around them, underneath them? Like what is?
I think
all
All of the above.
And, not just the risk fire, they make noise. There's high tension coming through there, and our horses are going to respond differently to those types of noises. And then there's even studies out how long should you be spending under high power tension lines as far as for anything, health reasons. So, with little kids that are riding down there, we have a lot of kids that ride the riverbed, and during summer they might be down there 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Is that healthy for them to be riding under those tension lines?
Yeah.
And then there's the maintenance that goes with it, the trucks, so I used to work in an area that had a lot of high tension wires that came down from the San Gabriel Mountains that fed all the foothill communities. And regularly Edison would come down and inspect those, and they would do it by helicopter. So we would have to send, I'm a retired police officer, so we would have to send communications out to the community about, hey, there's going to be helicopter inspections, because they were flying, a couple hundred feet up above ground. And it caused a lot of stir there without horses. Can you imagine riding your horse down through the riverbed when here comes a helicopter 200 feet off the deck?
Yeah.
How's your horse going to react to that? What has that done? That brings a whole nother component to it that's unique to Norco.
And installing them, they're going to be using helicopters, because we saw that in Chino Hills as they got the order to take stuff down. There were the big, huge choppers there taking those things apart, making noise from 7 in the morning till 6 at night.
Yeah.
And that almost makes all that trail area impassable then, because you don't want to put your horses through that.
I did take a look at some feedback some people had left on Facebook forum, and one question that I think stood out to me, where it did make me kind of wonder, I think myself, is that aside from the obvious of the above ground and below, the tension in the wires possibly causing fires and the noise and all of those things, they felt like there would be bigger issues. It would be harder to do the construction, to do it underground, than it would be to do it above ground.
So I'm not an engineer. I don't know, and I would think that it probably is difficult to put 120 foot high tension wires above ground, and it would be difficult to put electrical wires underground. They're both hard. My opinion is, at the end of the day, you do what's safest and best for the community.
Agree.
And that's my feeling in today's environment, with the amount of heat that utility companies are under because of faulty above ground wiring or dangerous above ground wiring. Yeah, you're spending $1 million, $2 million more to put it underground, but when you sign those checks to all those people's homes that were destroyed or lives that were lost because of your equipment, you're writing huge checks with a lot of zeros. So you can spend the money then or spend the money now.
I think one of the problems with Edison not being held accountable is us sitting here in this room. They feel it's just as easy to kick the can down the road, write those big checks, and then pass those losses on to the payers.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah,
us,
100%.
the users. Our rates are going to go up to pay for this fire, that fire, and I think they feel it's easier to fight it on the backside than it is to address it up front. Yeah. And none of our politicians in Sacramento are really taking the lead for us, protecting them. It's because they figure too, I'm the governor, my term ends this year, I'm term limited out, and the next governor that may come in, okay, I know I have 2 terms of 4 years, 8 years I'll be gone before this ever happens.
Right.
So.
Well, and you bring up such a good
the
point.
can gets kicked down the
Yeah.
street.
Yeah. Well, and that's ultimately, we're kind of like working our way through here, and it's what's standing in the way, and the utilities company saying, why do we do it this way versus the other way? And it really does come down to, it's more money.
Well, yeah,
And the ratepayer can pay for it.
Exactly. And if you go back and look at, some of the players involved in this whole thing, obviously the city of Riverside is the one that is the big proponent of this. If you look at the pages on their websites dealing specifically with this issue, they will admit that the reason why they don't want to underground is the cost.
Yeah.
It's,
That's it.
and they don't even fluff it up. You go on the Riverside Public Utilities page, why don't we want underground? Basically, it's too expensive. You go on the Edison's page, basically, we don't want to do it, it's too expensive. Okay, so it comes down to cost. But to touch on what Don said, it's gonna cost you money, because what's happening now is that power companies are, to a slighter degree, being held responsible
Right.
for the damage that they create.
Yeah.
And in California, it was the United States Department of Justice that did that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not our politicians. It was the federal government that came in and sued Edison and held their feet to the fire.
And you're seeing now, because of that, all of a sudden Edison is coming in and offering checks in the Altadena area, the Eaton fire, that, hey, we'll pay you this right now, just don't be part of the class action suit, and we'll do these different things, because I think they know the landscape is changing on them.
Yeah.
That right now, under the current DOJ and everything like that, they're gonna be held a little bit more liable,
Yeah.
quicker in this situation.
Yeah.
And let's look at it on the other side also. Insurance is an issue for anyone who lives here in Norco or Eastville or Harupa Valley.
Yeah.
Insurance companies are pulling out of the state of California. Some of us have seen our rates double, triple, or up by.
Uninsurable?
Yeah, uninsurable. I can't count the number of people who are, I'm by the river, I'm uninsurable.
I have
and-
livestock.
And livestock.
Yeah.
So if the power lines are gonna go above ground, that's gonna only amplify the situation with the insurance. We have an insurance commissioner in California who's terming out, and the insurance companies are basically running ramp shot here. They're not paying claims, they're denying claims. Look at the Eaton Fire and the Pacific Palisades. Excuse me, they're coming in and saying, we're not writing a check for you. You were underinsured. And what's gonna stop that from happening to Norco and Harupa Valley and Eastville, where a lot of these residents have been blessed to see their property values increase because some of the people have owned their homes for a little bit of time.
Well, and even at that, when you think about things like, I think some people hear, oh, Edison Company, something happens, natural disaster, I get a check if something happens. But in the end, what they purchased their home for years ago,
Right.
and I think a lot of people don't take these into account when you have like a Palisades fire or
Right.
something like that, or the Paradise Fire is the one I'm thinking of, where you have these people who purchase their homes for $100,000, $200,000, $300,000.
Yeah.
Their home then burns down to the ground. They're not in a financial situation
Right.
where they can purchase another home at $1 million price point. So
And
it
is
really
is the
does.
state gonna allow those homes to come back in the configuration they're at? You're
Right.
seeing that now in Altadena, where the state is taking this as an opportunity to say, well, wait a minute, let's build high-density, low-income housing. We'll fund
Yes.
that, but we're not gonna fund your $1 million 5-acre.
We'll keep you from getting a permit, but we'll
Yes.
make it easier for
For
this
this guy.
apartment or something to go in. It makes it really tough.
Yeah.
And the other problem is that they're finding in the Altadena fire is once you have your home paid for, you don't have to carry as much insurance or the insurance. And so some of these families, unbeknownst to them, just thought, oh, the only reason I carry it is because I have a mortgage, and they were uninsured. And these people are left to be, they're gonna be victims because someone's gonna come in, I'm gonna buy this and put a quadplex on or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And cause low-income housing and then ruin the rest of the neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah. So it really is, when you think about the inherent risk of just one small thing.
Right.
You know, when we're talking about and hearing and listening to what people are putting out there and why it's so important and really having people stand behind this.
Right.
I think that these are the things that, it's just a reminder, it's a visualization of
Yeah.
what's happening.
Right.
Or what could happen.
Well, and I think Don will agree with this. I think that our city has fought this valiantly. I don't want to short them on that. But I don't think they've done a good enough job in educating the community
Right.
until now. They just recently launched a
BuryTheWires.
BuryTheWires.org website, which is a fantastic website.
Yeah,
BuryTheWires.org, go check it out. But they've done this is something that should happen years ago.
agreed.
Because this fight is not anything that little Norco could take on its own. It require, right now we're under the gun. We're literally at the last
Days
second.
away.
Yeah.
Days-
October
October
9th, we have a
October
bus
9th.
going.
Yes.
And we want you to go down to Nellie Weaver Hall. First, go on, bury
Right.
the wires, and and register to take. We're offering a free bus ride down there.
Hey, I
And a
signed up.
t-shirt.
And a T-shirt.
Yeah, come on.
You get a free bus ride there, a free bus ride back.
We'll even bring you home.
Yeah, and you can count it as a vacation. But with all kidding aside, we have to use this. And I know the city will get another bus if we fill it up, but we need to show the commission that we're serious here.
Yeah.
They think they can just wait us out.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it's not too much too late.
Yeah.
That,
Well,
we
and
really need.
and that's kind of what I was touching on earlier is that this grassroots effort is something that should have been going on
Right.
for years.
Absolutely.
And I applaud you for taking into account that most people don't know what this is or really care. It's something you scroll by on Facebook.
Right.
We're involved in it because of our involvement in the community, volunteer groups that we belong to, because we're both active on social media in different ways. I didn't know what this was back in February. I had no clue, but I went to a meeting and I learned more about it, and so now I know that this is important to me, and this is why this directly impacts the reason why I moved to Norco.
Right.
And it has so many different ways that it can negatively impact my future here, my family's future here, that I need to be involved in this.
Yes.
I need to be involved in this to protect the lifestyle that I moved here for.
Right.
And that's something we should have been doing
From the beginning.
from the beginning, yeah. But I applaud you because you're right. There's so many Joe residents that don't know, because it's just numbers, or I live in the Bluffs and I don't care what happens in the riverbed, or I don't own horses. Why do I care? Well, you're going to care when that fire is raging down the riverbed and the wind's blowing it into the bluffs, or blowing it up into the hills, or blowing it to Kip's Corner, or blowing it
That
into the sea.
alone, it's
That
like,
alone,
it's not
yeah.
even just
Need it
like,
for
it's not
days.
even just the idea of like inherent fire coming to your property, but it's the inhalation, like the health risk that comes from the
risk.
fire after that, and what's burning down there. I mean, we all know it's not just
Or
vegetation.
the
down
traffic
there,
impact,
Yeah.
the air quality, you can't go to Saddle Sore anymore because it burned to the ground because it's close to the
the
riverbed.
river,
Or Bronx Steakhouse is gone, or Vivi's
Norco
is
Brewery.
gone,
Yeah.
Norco Brewery's gone, Hidden Valley's gone.
Yeah.
The cemetery's gone because it was ravaged by fire. Now you're all well and good on the other end of town, but now
You know how hard it is to drive from Corridon and Bluff to all the way up 6 to California and try to
It
get
is.
it. Yeah, it's impossible. It's going to
Gotta
take
take a horse.
Yeah, it's already a 30-minute. You try to do it between 3 in the afternoon and 7 at night. Now try to put a fire into that, or road
Yeah.
closures. Now you're trying to get not just getting yourself out in the event of a fire, but now you got to get your horses out. You got to get your family out. You
Well,
have to
and
meet
you're
multiple
probably-
That's a whole
Yes.
other component that we
Whole
didn't even
nother
talk
component.
about.
I know the evacuation process for it all in itself. I mean, a lot of people here in town have trailers. A lot of people in this town don't have trailers. And I might beg to argue, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people in this town probably have more animals than what's going to fit in their trailer to get them out in one run.
Yeah.
So,
And
that's-
animals that have never been put in a trailer. So
Absolutely.
you're multiplying that trailer is going to spend 3 times the amount of time there to try to get an animal in. So it's going to impede the evacuation.
Yeah, it really is a huge risk. I think that the takeaway for a lot of this with the residents especially, and what I'm really hoping with this message, is that we talked about this a little bit earlier, but the community did such a great job when it came to a development that was going to happen in town.
Yep.
And there was really, quite honestly, probably not much that anyone could have really done from a technical, legal standpoint to make that stop.
Right.
And really what it was the community caring so much about protecting the property, protecting the use of the property, and protecting the residents that would be impacted by how that property was going to be used, that it was the voices. I mean, I look back at the community and how they really came together. It was an attack on Facebook.
Yeah, it
I
was.
mean, it was like it was
Full out
like
force.
I mean AI images were being produced that were just like, I mean, were quite comical. But I think about that, and I think about what are the actions our residents can be taking today,
right.
and I think driving awareness is one of those huge things. You making a post, sharing a post, sharing an opinion about the post, driving conversation, getting people aware or knowing or curious, it's important. And a lot of people I mean, we're three talking about it right here from all different angles, but you get an entire community talking about it, and you start to see other angles that maybe someone else didn't think about down the
100%.
road,
Right.
you know?
Aaron brought up a perfect point earlier when we were pre-discussing this. I mean, I had never considered that, but it's a great point. But you're absolutely right, because there's nothing more powerful than an informed voter.
Yes.
Right? And in this state, in today's environment, in today's drive-by media, where we're so used to getting little sound bites of information, we're almost conditioned to know what they want us to know.
Yeah.
And it's incumbent upon us to dig deeper and find that information out, become informed, and learn what is happening.
Yeah.
And then pick your side. Like, it's great to say I'm this side or that side or whatever, because I don't like him, or I don't like this guy, or I don't like that person. That's cool. That's great. And we're really polarizing. But you need to know why you pick that side.
Yes.
And make sure that you're aligning yourself with someone that supports your values and what your community and what you see in your future. And if not, you're on the wrong party.
Yeah.
Or the wrong side or whatever. So that's the first thing I would say, is become informed.
Yes.
And to piggyback on what Rudy is saying, it's going to be our responsibility at the end of the day. I know a lot of times people get upset at our council members that, well, how come they're not out in front of this project or that project? There are legal ramifications that they can't come out in front of a project, or they would be disallowed to vote on it.
Yes.
And so they have to show an impartial stance on any project that's coming before them. Even these power lines, at certain times they have to stand back, let the public get the information and share it. We have to be the catalyst to all of this, because you have to understand there may be times that they can't come out and talk, because it would prevent them from voting on something to
Or
help
be a
our
violation
community.
of the Brown Act
Yeah, the
or
Brown
something,
Act or
yeah.
something. They can't come out and have 2 or 3 of them together because, they're daisy chaining votes or something like that. And that's the last thing we want, is to give Edison or the PUC something that they can hang something on and say, well, look, this is what you did. This is why we can put the ground, the lines above ground.
Yeah.
So it's up to you and me and everyone that we take this fight, and we start letting our neighbors know. And, if we can't take that bus ride, we need to write emails to the Public Utilities Commission. On that website, there are links. And with AI, anyone can develop a letter. You put in what you wanted to write about, and be polite, and then send those letters off, and follow it up with a phone call.
Yeah.
And to Don's point, I would say that if you're a regular resident in this community and you're like, hey, this all sounds good, I want to join this fight, what am I going to do? How am I going to fight this? There's a couple things you can do. You touched on the California Public Utilities Commission meeting on October 9th.
Yep.
So that's the first thing I would recommend. Like Don said, there's a bus. You
Right.
can go to burythewires.org. There's a sign up. You go in there and put your name, your RSVP. You get a t-shirt, get a free bus ride, and go to the meeting.
And you meet your neighbors.
And meet your neighbors. So there's an hour. We have 1 hour at this meeting to give our public input in front of the California Public Utilities Commission. And ultimately, at the end of the day, they are the one entity in the state that can force Edison to put these wires in the
Right.
ground. Okay, so that's where the fight needs to go.
I
But-
did not know that, by the way.
Yeah, they're the one agency that can. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're right. But let's piggyback on that. Let's be honest and look at the elephant in the room. We have a governor that wants aspirations of running for president. And the last thing he wants is to be behind something that could potentially burn down a community, and we're able to advertise that across the rest of the nation. If we send letters to him also that we oppose this, and we start listing all these fires, and we start sending it to other senators and everything like that, I think you might get the governor to make a few phone calls. Those people are his appointees, and say, hey, you know what? We need to shut this down. Sorry, Edison, I know you're a big donor, but this isn't our fight right now. Let's get me out of office.
Yeah. And quite honestly, letters are great. I think letters are important. But for those speaking to a generation that are probably not going to type something up, put it in a letter or send an email, that probably won't happen for half of the generation
Right.
speaking to them. And that really what we would ask and what they need to do, they need to get loud on social media.
Yeah.
100%.
You know, they need to make those posts, tag those senators.
And do what
tag the
Rudy
governor.
does.
Yeah.
You tag every agency. You tag every council member. You do everything, and we do a great
do.
job of that.
Yeah.
And because that's going to start raising the logarithm in their posts, in their threads.
Yeah.
They're going to start seeing this, and they don't want that negative.
No.
No, they don't.
So I would start with the burythewires.org site. If you want to learn more about this and you want to become more educated,
you want to understand the history better, go on that website. That's a great resource for you to kind of understand where the city of Norco is coming from this. And it talks in great deal about the dangers that it poses to our community, specifically the fire danger. There's links on there. You can click and it'll pre-fill out an email for you. An email. You don't even need to lick a stamp
Right.
or waste a,
50
print it.
cents.
Yeah, or go to the post office. And it preloads the names of the involved parties from both. I think there's 3 options. There's Edison, a couple of elected
A couple
officials,
elected
is
officials
it the
and some
C-
people on the California Public Utility
Yeah.
Commission. I think it's important too, and this might be a shameless plug, but how can you find out about these things? If it becomes too late, there's a couple of great organizations, and one both Rudy and I belong to, and it's the Norco Horsemen's Association. And so does Aaron, he's a member. We are an advocacy group for our community. Although it's called Horsemen's Association, we advocate for everyone in the city, for agriculture, for farming, for gardening, for horses, for animal husbandry, you name it, large lots.
yeah.
We are doing everything we can to keep Norco, and I strongly encourage you to become a member, come to a general meeting, and you'll hear information about this. Saddle Sore Riders also, we work in conjunction with the Horsemen's Association in trying to keep all of the riders informed, and that's a little bit bigger scope. We reach out to many different cities at that organization, but I think you guys need to get actively involved in groups in the city, and I think that's the more involved you are, the more informed you're going to be.
And that brings us back to a point you brought up earlier. You get involved in Saddle Sore. You
Yep.
get involved in
Horsemen's
Group. You get involved in the Norco Fair, Horse Week, any of these
4-H.
4-H, any of these civic groups, regardless of what their purpose are, you're going to find that all of a sudden this big town of Norco isn't really that big. There's so much crossover. I mean, there's people on NHA. Don and I are both board members of NHA, but there's people on NHA that are members of Saddle Sore. There's members of the fair committees, of the veterans committee. There's so much crossover, and you start to get that synergy because now you're dealing with people that are movers and shakers, that are influencers, and now all of a sudden, just little horse poop picker upper Rudy is now rubbing elbows with elected officials and important guys like Don because of these groups.
Yeah.
And you can do that in this town, and it starts exactly with what he said: become involved.
Yeah.
Become involved. And I'll give a shameless plug to NHA. And I'm not here as an NHA official.
Neither one of us are.
Neither one of us are.
Yeah.
I'm here as Rudy Gatto, citizen homeowner. But every resident of this town needs to be a member of the Norco Horsemen's Association, regardless of if you own a horse, if you're going to ride, whatever you're going to do. Because that group, more than anything else, is committed to exactly what Don said: protecting the Norco lifestyle, large lots, animal keeping, equestrian trails, being an advocate, being a voice. There's representatives from NHA that are at every single city council meeting, every commission meeting, and larger, because that's how passionate some of the people are. And that helps me learn, it helps him learn, it helps you learn, because now you're part of that as well.
And then having that as the catalyst, you're able to take it out to other organizations you're part of. You get that information at a general meeting, you can take it to a Saddle Sore meeting, you can take it to a 4-H meeting, or if you're at the fair. And you're gonna find too, like Rudy said, you're volunteering at the fair, here's all these people from Horse Week that you see. You're at a Horsemen's Association, and there's everybody from the fair, or the rodeo, or Day of the Cowboy, or one of the local churches, or you see people at Cowboys for Christ, all these different organizations. There's only a few number of us in here that do a lot of work.
And all of a sudden, Big Norco's really small.
Yeah, it's very
You
small.
see it, how small it actually is. I say this because I work in human resources, and I work a lot with keeping employees engaged in the workforce and whatnot, and a lot of that really looks a lot the same in a town as well. And that one thing that we talk about that comes up in the workplace, a lot of people know this word: engagement.
Right.
And people who are engaged are informed. Creating a culture, an environment that is what you want to be a part of, which is why a lot of people move to this town. It is everyone's responsibility to keep it that way.
Right.
So, we talk about this in the workplace about being engaged in cultures, that an employer can provide things like ping pong tables and catered lunches and, arcade games and a fun little environment. But it's up to the people to use those things.
Right.
It's not the company that's going to create an awesome culture. It's really, they can provide the tools, but it's the people that are gonna make that and how they use that and how they're communicating and how they're engaging, how they're treating one another. And so those are all things that I think within our community that these organizations are tools.
Yeah.
They're tools for the
And
community.
if
to
you
become
spend
engaged.
any amount of time on social media in Norco, which John and I do because
Yeah.
of our roles within our respective organizations and just our career backgrounds have put us in that arena, so we're very familiar with it. And there's so many people in today's culture that are like pointing out problems, but so few people that want to be involved in fixing those problems.
Yes.
And it can
Yes.
be as small as, I'm a retired cop who got into this because my wife's a horseback rider, and I'm the tractor driver, I'm the poop picker upper.
You sound like my husband.
Like your
Yeah.
husband, yeah. I'm the shoveler.
You're a victim?
And I get mine
yeah.
too a lot of times in Crocs or rainbows.
Yeah. So, but my voice is important. Your voice is important. His voice is important. You have to use it. And if you don't, because of whatever reason, nobody's going to listen to me, or it's all hooey. You know, the council members are all on the take.
Get involved.
Yeah.
Get involved.
Get involved, have a voice.
Have a voice. Be
Everyone-
informed.
Yeah,
The
be
more
informed.
involved you are, the more passionate you're going to become about
Yeah.
the community. You're going to learn about the tribal stories and the art of leadership. You're going to hear all these stories that have taken place here over the last 100 and 150 years. And there are people that take great pride in who's lived in the city longer. Is it a city council member or is it the president of the Norco Fair? I lived here 6 days longer.
Before the freeway was
Yeah,
through,
the
I was
freeway
here
wasn't
before the
here.
15.
My great grandfather put up a stake before
Yeah.
his great grandfather, and those are great tribal stories that we need to share. We need to encapsulate them and leverage them and pass them on to our kids so they become passionate about
Yeah.
Norco.
Well, and if you don't become involved, if you don't do those things, you're making a choice and you're contributing to it by not doing anything,
Right.
by your lack of action. And if you moved here for a certain lifestyle, whatever it is, you need to take steps to.
It's a fight to protect it.
Right.
Absolutely. This is a unique community. There's very few like it.
Yeah.
Certainly in Southern California or in this populated region.
And to think, at one time, there were more horses in our city
Yeah.
than there were community members.
Well, and I really, and we can close this out with, I think we've done a really good job of capturing like individuals in general, what they can do, how they've been working in the community, being involved, having a voice, all those things. But in the end, it really is having an opinion is important. Being empowered to do something is important. Starting with knowledge and really understanding. Caring is a huge piece of that.
right.
And I think that an expression of care really is, love thy neighbor. If thy neighbor is someone who is passionate about protecting these large lots, they're at stake to be taken. Whether
Right.
it's a fire that's
Yeah.
going to take them, whether it's
AEDs,
all of those coming in here. So if you want to love your neighbor and you want to protect your neighbor,
Yep.
then you need to have an opinion, you need to care, and you need
Be
to
a
come out
voice.
and
Use
say
your
something.
voice.
Use
Yeah.
the voice. And, in this particular circumstance, we actually are saying your voice, have an opinion, use your voice,
Right.
get online, start making comments, start sending your email, start tagging the whole
Yeah.
the whole
The whole
county,
world, yeah.
the whole
Be loud on
world,
social media.
yeah, everything. Be loud on social media, because that's how Norco really is going to protect Norco
Right.
in the end against these big companies. I mean, they will not have a chance if no one says anything.
Right.
And right now, it's, from my perspective and what I've seen online, it's really quiet.
I think
It's
so.
really quiet.
Well, and the alternative is the state's not our friend.
No.
The developers are not our friends. Or our lifestyle, they're not friends of our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And if we don't maintain that voice, what's going to happen is this is going to be concrete tilt-ups and warehouses, and it's going to push this whole community out, and these large lots are going to be gone because you have 3 acres. I mean,
Yeah.
how many houses can you put on 3 acres?
lot.
A lot, especially if it's high
And
density.
yeah, if you put high density, you put apartments,
Yeah.
you can put tons in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's gonna slow, and this is another issue that slowly erodes away our equestrian lifestyle, our animal keeping lifestyle, our large lot lifestyle, because it's eroding those rights away from us. So if this is what it takes to get you motivated, cool, great. This is a really important issue. But if that's what it takes, great.
Right.
Yeah.
We
Well,
need everybody involved.
We do need everyone involved.
Oh, and I would
so-
add really quick to getting back to the meeting on the 9th. If you can't go on the bus,
Yes.
there is a call-in portion.
Yeah.
You can call in and follow our socials. I'm going to put that out as we get
Great.
closer to that date. If not, go on the California Public Utilities Commission's website, and you can bring up the agenda for the the October 9 meeting. And there is a way that you can call in. They don't allow like Zoom interaction, but if you're a call-in, time permitting,
Right.
you'll be able
It's a
to
very
speak.
short meeting.
It's a very short meeting. But again, if there's 300 people there and only 5 get to speak, well, that visually to the commissioners, they're going to see the 300 people there. Or if there's 200 people online waiting for their chance to talk, that's a huge impact. So those are all things you can do that are low impact on you.
And not everybody that calls in gets on either.
Yeah.
And not everybody that shows up to speak
Gets
is
to
going to
speak,
get to
right.
speak.
Yeah.
Hence the t-shirts.
Yes.
Yes.
Ah, and the
And the pitchforks.
I know, and the pitchforks.
Yeah.
We'll be
It's
there.
just Norco equipment.
Actually, I really
Not
do
to be
think we
threatened.
probably should go with our.
Yeah.
Welcome to Norco.
Our-
Here's your
Yes.
here's your
Oh gosh, that's so funny. Well, thank you guys
All right.
so much for joining me and really sharing, I think, this message. Again, this is really meant to be something from our citizens to other citizens and being good neighbors and really having a chat about what this really means. So thank you guys so
All right,
much for
thank you.
coming on.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Have a
you.
great night.
How's
You know
that
what?
going?
Hey, tech guy, get in there and turn
Yeah, you know what I think?